Lakehouse, where there's a story in every bottle.
Ready?
It's another
Cheers.
Monday and out there in the world. Cheers,
Cheers,
to everyone.
everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Welcome to our Hermit Woods live Monday night show. We're here again. What are we talking about? We didn't tell anybody today. This was a surprise.
Yeah,
Surprise
obviously
us, we
it'll be a
figured-
surprise.
but-
I think
we
we're talking about
We've never done
wine.
that
Some wine.
I think we're talking about wine this time.
Yeah. Well, and food.
Safe bet, though, not every time, I
No.
suppose. We do branch out.
And food.
And food.
Look at that.
Here, I'll put it on this one.
Put it on this one. Yeah, there you go. You gotta see the food. Oh.
Oh. Bob, I owe you a new computer.
Sorry, that won't hurt you through the video screen, but we're awfully sorry. It is that beautiful. But it was rather funny to watch, honestly. So that was good. Yummy. Yeah, so Travis prepared some.
Didn't touch the keys.
Yeah.
Nothing on the keys.
No. Travis prepared
perfectly
this
clean.
delicious canapes for us today to pair with wine.
Yeah, well, actually, this was a special that was created. Travis created this, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, and I'm guessing this is probably going to be a regular special.
I sure hope so.
At least
It
something
looks
along these
really good.
lines.
Yeah,
So it's a really fun concept.
It's really
So everybody knows, most of you know, that we offer these flights. And these are a wonderful, great way to introduce yourself to several of our different types of wines. We have a rosé flight. We have a mixed flight where we have a red rosé and a white. And we have a white flight. And we have a dessert flight. And we have a mead flight. So what Travis did is he created a bite with the flight.
Flight and a bite.
So if you choose, in this case, the mixed flight, you get a pairing with the white wine, the red wine, and the rosé. And we're gonna experiment with that today, along with. Did I take yours? Sorry. I didn't.
they all saw that out there too. Like, no, Bob's not getting away with that.
You got two now. But anyway, we're gonna talk also about wine appreciation today. So, but before we get into that, a couple points of business. For those of you who are new to the
prepared.
show, right under
No, I'm on the wrong side.
under
It's Chuck.
Right under Chuck. If you're on YouTube today, look down below Chuck, and you will see a subscribe button. And we would really love it if you would subscribe to our channel. And if you're on Facebook, there's a little bell on your screen. If you click that bell, that's the way you subscribe on Facebook. If you subscribe to YouTube or Facebook, every time we go live, you'll get a notification letting you know that we're live. And of course, we go live every Monday at 5:30. But we also will go live from, say, a sailboat out in the middle of the harbor,
Yeah,
or
That's
on
coming
a
up.
motorcycle.
that might be coming up fairly soon,
That might be
actually.
coming up
Yeah,
fairly soon.
yeah.
And we might be also, who knows, at some other winery or some other location in New England or whatever. So stay tuned and subscribe, and you will learn about all the fun things that we get engaged with here at Hermit's Winery.
Yeah, you won't know until the day of the show what we're doing on the day of the show. though.
Sometimes,
That's sort of
We like
the
that
MO.
surprise.
Yeah, because it surprises us too.
Yeah.
I like this.
No.
No, right. I like this. There's a whole descriptive card that one
We're
gets
prepared.
when one buys a flight here.
Yeah.
It describes each of the wines in great detail.
Well, because you know
so-
what? Well, the flight it's never a substitute for a tasting by any means, but we still want people, if they're trying a bunch of different wine, we want them to know what they're drinking and get a sense of understanding. And the servers are always there to answer questions and to maybe give sort of an abbreviated tasting when they bring the flight. But it's good to have that guide right there in front of you, so you know what you're drinking.
Yeah, well, it's good for me, that's for sure.
Before we get into that, just a reminder, if you're watching today, please comment ask questions. Let us know what you're thinking. We'd love to hear from you, and that way, if you ask a question, we can answer it live on the show. If we can't get to it on the show, we'll get to it after the show is over. So,
It's a good time to
let us
mention
know you're
too.
here. We'll be able to engage you in the conversation.
We've got Matt has
Just
joined
like-
us,
just
Christine
like I
has
did.
joined us, and then
I just joined
Bob,
us,
if
just
you
like you.
lean a little bit to
Hi,
your
Greg.
left or right, we might see. Oh, maybe not. They're just hidden. Oh, hey! Gary and Paula have joined us live tonight, so that's always fun.
We have a live audience.
Got a little live audience today, so that's always fun to have some folks in the background. But yeah, let us know if you're here,
And ask questions.
Mhm.
That's what we're here for. To answer your questions.
whether you're here live or watching after the fact.
So wine flights, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's great about these. So a lot of people come in, you come in and you can do a wine tasting at a winery, or everybody's familiar with that. You go up to the bar and you have a host who takes you through a selection of wines where you get to learn about the wines and sample, in our wine tasting, 6 or 7 wines. Some people though like to enjoy sitting out on the patio or having their own table and having a self-guided type tasting.
Right.
People in the beer industry are very used to this, right? You go to a brewery, you get a flight of beers, and you bring it back to your table, and you sample them and enjoy them.
I think at a lot of places that is what a tasting
what a
is.
tasting is.
Yeah, they don't do the full experience like we do. A lot of places the tasting is just a flight.
It's unfortunate, actually, that COVID drove a lot of wineries
Yeah,
True.
way.
to doing
Yeah.
more flights and self-guided
That's when our flights took
experiences.
off.
Right. Well, we did the same thing. We couldn't do tastings any longer, so we created these flights. But unfortunately, a lot of wineries aren't going back. So you can't get that very personalized and educational experience that we offer, and I would hate to see that. I mean, I think that's one of the most special things.
You've
that we
always
do.
stood by your guns on that, and I noticed that that's still one of the more popular things that we have here. We'll do a lot of tastings.
We do. It's not. We don't do as many as we used to because people
Got flights.
have the choice to sit down and have a flight. Some people prefer that. It's a seated experience. Sometimes at the tasting bar, you're standing.
Or you're looking to get a
Everybody
bunch of
wants to stand.
food too, and you don't want to get food while
Right,
you're at the tasting
right.
bar. Or yeah, enjoying the nice summer weather outside is also a big driver for folks. But
But as many people enjoy the tasting bar as enjoy flights on a regular basis. So it's good. People are still at the bar, and we get that personal relationship. You get to ask questions. There's somebody who's personally sharing the experience with you, and that's so
Right.
much more in depth than
Yeah.
just reading it off of a card like you see here.
Now, are we doing food pairings with that now too at the bar?
We have
little bit,
a
yeah.
wine and cheese tasting. So you can either do the regular tasting, where you get to try 7 wines, or you can have a selection of 6 bites of cheese and 6 wines that we select for you to pair with those selections.
it's nice for some people. We had some folks in today that were excited about the wine taste or the wine and cheese tasting because they didn't have to make any choices. We had chosen everything for them. We knew it was going to be great,
That is convenient.
and it was
and
great.
they get
They're
to
like,
eat
"Oh."
something while they're having.
Yeah, they get a little nibble, and it's not a lot, but just enough to do it. And it's a great way to appreciate wine pairing, which I think is kind of what Bob wants to sort of start off talking about
Yes.
wine
Yeah, we do this
appreciation,
on
how that
weekends.
can.
It's back to we're doing this Saturday multimedia production too that people buy tickets for and come out. And that's food and wine pairing as well on Saturdays. Telling when you do the Soul Story Live.
So that's no, that's not food and wine pairing right now.
Just
that's something
just
that's
wine.
coming. It's just wine. It's
Oh.
called the Loft Listening Experience, and right now it's a history program. So we tell the history of Hermit Winery, and we sample 6 wines, and that's an engaged tasting because we talk about each of the wines and how they're made, as well as the history of the winery. And we do finish it with a piece of chocolate, which is the wine. So we have a touch of pairing at the end, but that occurs as well at the tasting bar. If you do a regular flight and you choose a dessert
Yeah,
wine,
you can have
you get the chocolate with it. So,
Gotcha.
but do you remember where the wine and cheese tasting idea came from?
Yeah, I do. In what's the name of that place? Like Goats
Fairview.
Fairview, Goats du Rhone.
Goats du Rhone.
Yeah, that was fantastic. They had those circular tables, and you got your food and your wine to pair with it,
Right.
and it was a great setup. I really liked it a lot.
And just this Saturday, a couple of young women were in for my loft tasting experience, and one of them was raised in South Africa.
Oh, nice.
And she was very familiar
knows
with
the
all
goats.
of the
Yeah.
places
Yeah.
that we went to. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool.
You sort of feel it might be a little touristy. I think we felt that way when we walked in, but by the
No.
time we got into the experience, now it was spot on. And you can buy their wines here. I still do. I'm a big fan of their Goats to Rome because I had that thing experience stuck into my head. And it was just so positive.
So we have a fun comment from Matt. He says, I appreciate that you guide us to what we might like, as opposed to French wine tastings where they tell you what you should like, and if you don't, you are wrong. And that's true. This, as we get into pairing and talk about, yes, there are some rules. There are things that this has sort of been established that this goes well with this, and this generally doesn't go with that. But everybody's tastes are different, and we certainly recognize that this is a suggestion. It's not a requirement. If you want to order something different, it's fine.
So before we get into the tasting part, let's talk about the wine appreciation side and go over the rules a little bit. And some of you out there have heard this from me or others of us before, but there are some new folks who may not have heard, or maybe you just need a refresher. But if you're going to go to a wine tasting, or you're going to enjoy a wine flight, or frankly, if you're going to enjoy wine anywhere, you should always begin your wine experience after you open the bottle for serving at the table or at the tasting bar by taking a few steps that allow you to fully understand and appreciate the wine that you're about to taste. And the first thing that people do when they consider wine and trying to evaluate whether this is going to be a wine you're going to like or not like is the color and the clarity. So one of the things a little confusing for us here with our fruit wine is the color of our wine doesn't fall into the same set of rules that most people learn and understand about color within the grape wine world. So because we have a sort of our own category, we still have whites and rosés and reds, but the colors don't necessarily match up with the normal coloring scales.
And they don't mean the same thing.
They don't mean always the same thing. But nonetheless, you still can make a judgment about whether the color is something that's appealing or not appealing. I mean, that's certainly a value. If this had more of if it was brown or a little oxidized, it might not look as appealing. If it has a color that's more familiar to us in the wine world, then that might look appealing. We taste wine with all of our senses, starting with our eyes. We look and see if we're going to enjoy this glass of wine. So take a look at the glass of wine and determine for yourself whether you think that color is appealing to you. And if it is a grape wine, whether that color is consistent with the color of what you think that type of wine should be. It's a Chardonnay. There's a certain color range that Chardonnays might appear in, and you'll want to see that color in that wine. The other thing is clarity. And if you hold the wine up to a light, and in this case, this wine is as sharp as a tack. There's no haze, there's no lack of clarity within this wine. So you would say this wine is a very clear wine and has a nice clarity to it. So that's a positive. If you're drinking, say, a pet nat, it might be cloudy.
Mm-hmm. So some of our meads, get that
some of our
unfiltered
wines are cloudy. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's a deficit. If the winemaker intended for it to be cloudy, just like a beer, right? There's the last 10 years, cloudy beers have become fashionable.
All the style, right?
It's a style that wasn't done 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
20 years ago.
Right. All the rules have been broken in beer.
Yeah, and we're breaking them all in wine.
We broke the rules in wine. Yes, absolutely.
So then the next thing you want to do is swirl the wine around in the glass, and you may or may not know why you swirl the glass. I like to tell people it's because you look like you know what you're doing, but really that's not why. There's a couple things. Oh, and I did want to mention, a lot of people these days are going toward those stemless glasses, and I just want to mention they're not ideal. Think about this. Your hand is at 98.6 degrees. If you have a stemless glass and you're holding the glass without the stem, you're going to warm your wine up. The reason for the stem is to put some distance between the heat of your hand and the wine so that you don't warm the wine. I actually saw today, something popped up on Facebook. You can buy this little tool for the stemless glasses that you set it in to keep them cold. Instead of a stem, you buy an extra attachment so that you can keep your wine chilled while you're holding it. Yeah, that's funny. So anyway, you You want to swirl the wine, and when you swirl the wine, you're going to notice that there's a little rim of wine that appears on the glass, and these drips that begin to appear from that rim of wine. Those are called or referred to as tears or legs. They would help you define two things: how much alcohol is in the wine and how much sugar is in the wine. At a higher alcohol, you're going to find more abundance of tears and legs, more drips on the side of the glass. On a higher sugar wine, you're going to find those drips move more slowly down the side of the glass. So that's the only real information you're going to get from tears and legs on a glass. Some people have suggested at times that somehow tells you what is a good wine or a bad wine. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just the properties of that wine are going to create different scenarios, and it helps you begin to understand what those properties are, what the sugar is, what the alcohol is. So after you've looked at the wine and you've inspected the legs or the tears, the next thing you want to do is put your nose in the glass, and not sip it, but just put your nose in and take a smell. That's when you're going to discover the aromas and the bouquet of the wine. Now, I say two things, aromas and bouquet. Let's talk about the distinctions between the aroma and the bouquet. The aroma are those characteristics that are delivered through to your nose through the fruit, the components that make up the wine. So the various types of smell that naturally emanate from the fruit or the ingredients that go into making this wine, those are considered the aroma. So if you smell, often with grape wines, you smell blackberry and blueberry, and sometimes you smell flower characteristics, and these characteristics are the actual smells that are emanating from the ingredients that make up your wine, and we refer to that as the aroma. The other term, bouquet, is referring to those smells that are as a result of fermentation and aging. So you might get yeast, you might get earthiness, you might get tobacco, you might get cigar. These are smells that come from the wine making experience and the wine aging experience.
I think of bouquet as being this sort of more intangible impressions. Like it's not actually edible things. Like you just said, that's where you get the tobacco and cigars and
things you don't normally eat.
Things you don't eat. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
oak tannins and oakiness and vanillas.
There could be some edibles in there.
Yeah.
Chocolate or something. There could be some other.
But it's not what's actually in it.
Yeah. So that's the aroma and the bouquet. So we're gonna smell that. And first of all, you got to just determine, do you like it? Do you like what it smells like? And that's going to inform your taste buds. If you aren't aware, half your taste buds are your nose. So if you're not properly smelling what you're eating, you're not going to smell it. If your mother tell you when you were a kid you didn't like your food, just hold your nose and you won't taste it. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. So you want to spend some time on the nose, and don't just and then drink. Take a minute, think about it, put some names to what you're smelling. Establish a vocabulary for that particular wine, and that's going to help you become better educated at identifying the different smells that you're experiencing. And the other thing you could do is move your nose around within the glass. If you put your nose too deeply in the glass with a higher alcohol wine, sometimes you get too much heat. If you put your nose a little bit above the glass, you're going to get more fruit, you're going to get less heat. So find that certain place around the glass where you get the best aroma, or the different aromas for that matter. And then after all of that, you finally get to taste it. But don't swallow it. Put it in your mouth.
It's taking an awful long time.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to ever get through this whole glass of wine.
I want to try it with the food.
Yeah.
That's a whole new thing. That's
When you put the wine in your mouth, chew it. Slosh it around like you're using mouthwash or something. Coat your whole mouth, because your whole mouth has taste buds. And you're going to fully experience that wine by chewing it around inside, getting it under your tongue or in your gums. And the other thing some people will do is you let the wine fall to the front of your mouth and you breathe air in through pursed lips, and that will blow the wine back against the back of your mouth, the roof of your mouth. You're going to fully appreciate the taste, with the aroma combined, you really understand what that wine tastes like.
I think I'm going to skip that step, or otherwise I'll spit on your keyboard.
Yes, I actually recommend if you're doing this for the first time, never do that in public. You'll dribble down the side. Yeah. The last thing you want to do, and then we'll get to eating. The last thing is what we call retronasal. So after you've sipped the wine and you swallow it, you should then breathe in through your mouth and exhale through your nose. And you're going to send those aromas back up through the backside of your nose. And you will perceive nuances of smell that you did not perceive on the front side. And that takes some practice. You won't necessarily experience that the first time you do it. But if you do that a couple times, as you learn about wines, you'll start to notice there is a difference between the front and the back of the wine. That whole experience, if you're not having to talk about it, shouldn't take more than 1 or 2 minutes. If you go through that experience every time you try a new wine, you're going to get better and better at learning about how to talk about the wine you drink, how to understand whether that wine is appealing to you or not appealing to you. And when you walk into a wine shop and the wine buyer says, "What are you looking for today?" you'll be able to describe it in detail because you'll have tasted wines, you'll have a vocabulary for it, and you'll know how to say, these are the things that I like in a wine, and this is what I'm looking for. Your success rate is going to go way up from deciding on which wine to buy based on the label. That'd be much improved.
Mm-hmm. Audience question. Matt asks if chewing wine tells your salivary ducts to release your particular enzymes.
I don't know the science behind that, but I would say just like anything, if you're putting something that's tart in your mouth, then your mouth is going to react to it. It's going to react to it.
And the chewing gets it everywhere, so your mouth does what it needs to do.
Right,
Yeah.
and your body does interact with all the food that you eat, right? And you ever go into the refrigerator and get a jar of pickles out, and as soon as you grab the jar of pickles, your mouth starts salivating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Your body reacts to the so it's a full body experience. Your mouth is going to react to the flavors and the tastes as it does all foods that you put in it. So with that, let's try some wine.
Yeah.
So what is the first wine on our flight here?
So with the mixed wine flight, this is, we want to do as sort of 3 different wines as possible.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a classic combination. We've got Lakehouse White, Petite Blue, and Winnipesaukee Rosé. So it's our most popular white, our most popular red, and our most popular rosé that we offer at Hermit Woods. So it's a great sort of introductory sample of what we have here.
So we're going to drink the first one. Let's read what it says on the card here.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2019, Lakehouse White, an engaging blend of local organic whole peaches, rhubarb, quince, and rose hips, and autumn berries. Fermented and aged surely with a white burgundy strain of yeast and French oak. A peach chablis of sorts, but without the Chardonnay grapes. No grapes at all, actually. Enjoy this crisp and deeply complex dry white wine with many light foods. Drink between 2020 and 2025 plus.
Yeah, that's when we've done whole shows on Lakehouse White with trying some of our early iterations of it up through today, and it does age very nicely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it does say, with many light foods. So our light food offering. So the base of this is the Jack's white wine crackers. So Jack's is that fantastic company down in Keene. Little lovely, perfectly square crackers made from some white wine. And then it's the Fortuna's, I believe, the Parmesan dry hard salami. Mm-hmm. That's from Vermont. And then this is the Tilsit from Vermont Farmstead cheese. And then Waz triple ale onion spread on top.
That's a lot. That's a lot of different flavors on one cracker.
It'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah.
It's a nice stack.
Mm-hmm. Interesting to smell it, right? You get the same sensation with your food.
Mm.
Well, I guess it's light in a bite. It's hard to. It's like
really
sushi. You kind of shouldn't try to do it in 2 bites. But
Well, I'll tell you what. That combination of food on that cracker sure tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So we know. So actually, we mentioned the wine and cheese tasting earlier. This Tilsit is what we pair with Lakehouse White.
Now I'm going to talk with my mouth full because if you're really properly doing wine and food pairing, you put the food in your mouth and you chew it a little bit, and then you pour the wine on top of the chewed food and see how the wine and the food mixes in your mouth. Oh yeah, that's surprising.
That did very well.
Works really well.
It was hard. Yeah, we had a good time, and it was tough coming up with this because we wanted it to be a solid bite, a sort of a complex bite. We wanted a cracker, a meat, a cheese, and a spread for everything because we wanted it to be much more than just, you know, a piece of cheese, because we knew the Tilsit already went, but trying to find that combination of things that worked with everything working together as a bite, but then also still working with the wine and trying to add flavors that don't overpower the wine or vice versa.
I was worried that the sweetness of the chutney and the strength of the flavors would be overwhelming to the wine, and it's not the case at all.
No.
The Lakehouse White actually becomes more rich and flavorful. That peachiness and that complexity stays just as strong after having had a nice bite of this canapé, I guess.
I think the ratio is important, that it's just a tiny dab of that triple L onion. And I think if it was more, I think that's the thing that would probably overpower this bite.
Yeah, I think so. I was worried that would be of the things on there that would be overpowering. And the cracker really adds a lot to it, which is it kind of has a yeasty component that's really baked crackery, and it's really, really nice. And adds a nice crunch too. Well, that's really tasty bite. Well done.
I'm impressed how good that goes. You know, we talk about wine pairing a lot. A lot of people are afraid of food and wine pairing. They think that you need an expert, you need a chef, you need a wine sommelier to decide what wines go with what foods. And that's really a bunch of fun. And every one of you out there, every single one of you knows how to pair wine with food. You just need to trust your taste buds. You put the food in your mouth and the wine in your mouth and you chew it. Does it taste good? Then it pairs well.
Yeah.
If it doesn't taste good, it probably doesn't pair well.
I'm thinking about the balance, you know, does it taste good, and what you're tasting in your mouth? Do you taste just the wine and that tastes good and you don't taste the food, or do you taste just the food and not the wine?
Right.
And that's the other thing to sort of carry it a little further about whether or not.
Well, it wouldn't be a good pairing, right? If you spent a lot of money on wine and then you put food in your mouth that made that wine disappear.
Even if the food tastes, even if it tastes good, if you can't tell the things that you're consuming,
right?
You should be able to taste everything and have it all balanced.
Right. And in some cases, if you pair the wrong wine with the wrong foods, both the food and the wine are going to taste worse.
Yeah.
That is extra sad.
As you get good, and that's the best part about this. You know how you get good at pairing wine with
Practice.
food?
You get to try it all.
Do it over and over and over again. So I highly recommend that you all get on a regular regimen of practicing wine and food pairing.
That's your homework for this week.
Tell us about it. It's a lot of fun, and you'll learn a lot very rapidly, I think. And as you get better at it, you're going to start learning the nuances, the whys. It's one thing to understand what works and doesn't work, but then it's another thing as you research it and you learn, you begin to understand why one type of wine might go better with one type.
Yeah. It
And
does all
then
make sense.
that makes it easier to sort of start fresh. You know, you're not kind of going into something blind. If you have a wine and you know the characteristics of the wine, you can guess at what couple of cheeses or meats are going to go because you have those rules in your head about what generally works. So you can at least have a sort of starting off point.
I like the temperature of the Lakehouse White too. That as you serve it here, it's just below room temperature, not refrigerator cold. I really think that it brings out a lot of the aromas and the bouquet, and then that peachy character. If it's too cold, I think it's just you lose some of the temperature is a significant feature probably to all of these. Actually, I would say there's a range there that is the right one for these.
It's a good point. And it's a known fact that most people serve their white wines too cold because they typically serve them at refrigerator temperature, which is 36, 37 degrees.
With ice cubes.
Some with ice cubes.
There's a time and a place for that.
Yeah, but your ideal situation is, as you said, to warm your white wine up. So if you're serving a white, bring it out of the fridge and let it warm up outside the fridge for half an hour before serving it. And the same is true with reds. People serve their reds too warm because oftentimes people store their reds in a wine cabinet in their living room or in their kitchen, and their reds are going to be at the room temperature that is comfortable for you, which is not the room temperature that wine is comfortable at.
Yeah,
So
right.
most red wines are going to be in the low 60s. Some of the bigger, bolder reds are okay up to the high 60s, but you're better off in the 60 to 65 range. And some of our wines can recommend serving 50 to 55 to 60.
I think the
for some of
Petite
the
Blue
reds.
is one of those,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It should be a little cooler. Yeah.
Speaking of, Petite Blue on our mixed flight is the next wine, right? Should we read that to them? For those of you who aren't familiar, 2020 Petite Blue. This award-winning wine is bursting with fresh blueberry aromas and flavors. The entire pound of wild low bush blueberries is in every bottle of wine. Unlike many available blueberry wines, this dry blueberry wine embodies the characteristics of a more traditional dry red wine. We suggest serving slightly chilled, about 55 degrees, and this will age in your cellar should you desire from 2021 to 2025. And you can find this in the New Hampshire liquor store.
And you can find it in
cans.
No, don't advertise that. We don't have those anymore.
Oh, that's
They're
right.
You
gone.
can find them in cans right
Someday.
here.
Someday.
Yeah, I had some for this weekend for my guests, and I have to say at a barbecue, in and out of the boat and whatnot, I actually drank Petite Blue out of a can and really enjoyed it. So
And you drank it right out.
right out of the can.
Oh,
And I was an anti-canist, and now I'm like, no, it's a time and a place for a can of Petite Blue. It's really good. Really good.
So did everybody look at their wine and look at the color and the
I love the
clarity?
color of Petite Blue is one of my favorites. I love that.
It's so deep.
And I love this sort
It's
of
almost
more,
purple.
yeah, the more purpley
Yeah.
reds versus the sort of brick-like reds in terms of color. It's a pretty color to me.
You know where that brick color comes from?
Aging,
Age.
generally, yeah.
As they age. Typically a wine, it has to get out 4 or 5 years before it really starts noticeably turning that brick color. So this is nice. There is it's a little less clarity in this wine because this is unfiltered. He doesn't filter this one. He doesn't filter. Most winemakers don't filter the reds because you really can't see through them anyway. So it's not as important to have the same level of clarity that you would on a nice clear white wine.
Yep.
That's tasting nice.
Yeah, I just think this is such a great one.
Yeah.
I really do. Big fan. Versatile, rich, flavorful, cold, even out of the cooler, a little chilly. It was fine. I mean, that I can put up with drinking out of a can and still have a great Petite Blue experience. Says a lot about the wine to me because it's still rich enough. You get that mouthfeel.
Because you're not getting that aroma.
No, you're missing
this
a
little
whole part of the tasting experience is lost when you hit the can, and yet it still drinks really well. And it took me a while to say that out loud, honestly, but I convinced myself over the weekend. It was my project for the Labor Day
I
weekend.
know you've been drinking Dogo out of a can for a long time. Pretty big fan there.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I love Dogo.
You named your boat out.
Yes, I did. And I have all the cans, all like
Don't tell them that.
all one case or whatever is left in the whole planet Earth. They're going fast. They're going
Is
fast.
that where you're down to one case?
I think so. Yeah. Well, it's a busy weekend.
So what are we trying this with, Eureka?
So this is with the Jack's red wine cracker,
Okay.
and then Fortuna's Finocchione salami, and then the 5 Generations. It's a 5 Generation cheddar. I'm not sure whether it's the mild or the sharp, but one of the 5 Generation cheddars, and then the Pot Liquor Kitchen blueberry bourbon
Oh, wow.
spread on top.
That was amazing.
Mhm.
It's been a while since I've had that.
Yeah, so that was a fun company we discovered at the Made in New England Expo over in Portland and started carrying. We have both the blueberry bourbon and the raspberry smoked maple, I believe.
Wow. Oh, and
A little sprig
mint.
of basil, I think, is what's on top.
basil. It's perfect. What a nice combination. Oh, kudos to Travis for these.
This was the winner for me as we were coming up with these.
Yeah, that basil's really incredible. That's a great idea. It almost comes across as a mint.
Oh, this is perfect.
This
We gotta
was
get this on the menu.
a champ of a pairing.
I would say it's a mild cheddar. It's not a super sharp cheddar.
It's probably good because this isn't a really big one.
Yeah.
Petite Blue's a little lighter.
I don't think a hard cheddar would go. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it works well with the wine too.
Great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have these at home.
What were the crackers again, Marika?
Jack's red wine crackers.
Jack's red wine.
This guy, Jack is a cat, by the way.
Oh, Jack's a cat.
Jack's a cat. It's the cat of the owner, the couple who own the business, and they're a great couple. They're down in southern New Hampshire, right?
Keen, yeah.
Keene. Mm. Mm. It's perfect. Just like the Lakehouse White. It's perfect. It goes really nice.
Yeah. Petite Blue.
No
Yeah.
complaints.
And that's a pretty powerful salami too.
Yeah. Spicy.
Spicy. Yeah.
There's a little spiciness in the Petite Blue too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot, a little bit.
It's definitely, yeah, much, even though as reds go, the Petite Blue is on the lighter end. Compared to, say, the Lakehouse White, it can hold up to much stronger flavors.
Yeah. Well done. God, brilliant.
2 for 2.
Yep. Brilliant.
This is the first time I've had this.
Me too.
It's a fun special, yeah.
Yeah. Good suggestion. All right. Yeah, it's 2. Now we're on to the last and final wine of the selection.
This one, I guess, was easy homework in a way.
Yeah, it's hard to screw up a pairing with
I'm just watching now. This will probably be the worst one. Who knows? But so number 3, Winnipesaukee Rosé.
So we got the same thing here. We got some nice clarity, and it's a classic color for a rosé. So even though this isn't made from the classic ingredients that a rosé might have, classic colors, and the legs and the tears.
This is my favorite in terms of visual appeal when it comes to the flights. Now, the mixed flight is really fun because it's so varied.
Mm-hmm.
But in particular, last summer, the rosé flight was absolutely gorgeous because you had heirloom crabapple, Winnipesaukee Rosé, and strawberry rhubarb. And in that vintage that we were serving last summer, the crabapple was a little bit oranger. And then the Winnie Rosé was kind of pink, and then you had the strawberry rhubarb that was more of that bright red.
Yeah.
So it's this gorgeous kind of gradient of rosés. It's still a beautiful flight even now, but the colors have changed with this vintage. Heirloom crabapple is much pinker, and Winnie Rosé is a little oranger. This newest vintage of crabapple is much more similar to the strawberry rhubarb. I keep almost grabbing the wrong bottle when I go into the fridge just because it's darker than it was, but still, the rosé flight is really fun with those different variations. I think actually they just bottled some fresh Winnie Rosé this past week, and I think that the newest one is maybe even a touch oranger than this.
Oh, this was such a classic flavor to it. This is just such a smart, easy to drink.
Not a classic rosé of Provençal style, but a great wine of that genre that has a bit of that acidity and brightness that you get from a rosé, but it's much more cranberry forward with that nice sort of happily sweetness balance for the acidity. It's just a really nicely balanced wine, and makes it a great food pairing wine.
We're about to find out.
I know. What are we going to find out, Marie?
So this one has Jack's garlic and herb crackers. He has so many varieties, but we've mostly been carrying those
That's
three and
pretty,
using
that's
those
a
three.
pretty racy thing to pair with the wine. Garlic and herb.
And then
Too
I
sharp.
believe this is the Fortuna's spicy, the hot sopressata. So it's not as spicy as like the Calabrese or the soupy ones. It's more like a pepperoni type.
Yeah.
It's kind of a more mild spiciness. And then I believe it's Vermont Farmstead Brie, and then the Thai hot pepper jelly from Oz.
Thai hot pepper jelly
You're
on top
doubling
of
down
that.
on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Spicy
This is-
sausage, spicy jelly.
So this is going to test the range of
Yeah.
any wine. Right. You're right. It's a tough one.
This would be a tough one to pair
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
All right. One in.
That's a great bite.
Wearing part of it.
Well, again, the combinations of food as they're compiled on that cracker are delicious. Nice flavors, nice texture.
I think for me, this is, we usually serve this brie on our charcuterie boards. It's often served like this with the brie with Thai hot pepper, and that to me has always worked so well. Like, I tend to be pretty wimpy when it comes to spice. I like the flavor of spiciness. I like a little spiciness, but I need something to counter it.
Yeah.
I don't mind salsa if I've got some sour cream with it, or nachos that have plenty of cheese on them, or
That's your
Thai hot-
Scandinavian roots.
yeah, or Thai hot pepper jelly with a nice creamy brie. It kind of serves to balance a little bit. And I think the brie does really well with this bite. That the cracker and the jelly and the meat are all quite flavorful, but the brie counters it without disappearing.
What's the green? Is that
Chive.
onion?
Mhm.
Chive?
Yeah. So I have that a little burning sensation from the chili pepper and the whatever's in the salami. So I have that hot burn, and yet the wine still just does what the wine does. It comes through, it coats my mouth, tastes like it tastes pre-food, and the food just works well with it. I mean, all the flavors just are sharp and bright and delicious.
You know what really helps? The brie, the creaminess of the brie.
Yeah, I agree with Marie.
Begins
Yeah.
to soften the sharpness
Yep.
of the spice before you even get the wine in your mouth.
I love Brie.
Score again.
3 for 3,
You got to tell Travis to get this on the menu.
more permanently. Yeah.
Yeah. This will be a big hit. I'm just sorry it's over. So that's a wine flight.
So here's my question. So I know with really spicy food, I know creamy things like, drinking a glass of milk with super spicy things is sort of one way to counter it. And I know water actually is counterproductive,
Very, very much so.
and beer I know is a good one. Beer is supposed to be a good counter. Do you know anything about, where does wine fall in that range of usefulness?
Yeah. Anybody out there know? That's Matt.
I would imagine you'd get quite drunk trying to drown out the spice with the glass.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't eliminate the spice the same way some other things would.
I think it's the way from what I understand about the way spice interacts with your mouth is that the little molecules of heat embed themselves in your taste bud. They're so, like in the pores of your tongue and the pores of your mouth. That's where the heat gets embedded, and water just makes your mouth, it doesn't do anything about the heat that's in there, but it makes your mouth know what cold is like. So when the water's gone, you know even more what heat is like.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
It
Yikes.
burns.
Mhm.
Whereas I think the creaminess of the milk actually coats your mouth and lingers on the surface a little bit.
That would be my intuition. There's a coating, something that goes on, and maybe a drawing action
Softens it.
from the milk that dissolves that spice.
Well, that drawing actually mentioned, they say one good thing is not a liquid, but like a dry cracker or chip, something that can soak up and absorb some of the components.
Is that why we have chips and salsa?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good delivery method too.
Yeah, I
is a
think
good
it's just the
delivery
delivery
method,
method.
too.
And the
It's
salt of the
great.
chips makes you want to, buy another margarita. So I think that's more what they do.
They think about that stuff.
No,
Yeah,
that's
probably.
that's evil.
That's not true.
Yeah, Matt suggests instead of just the wine, just more cheese or like things like brie or goat cheese or
Yeah.
cream cheese, really creamy cheese that really coat your mouth
Yeah.
versus, the harder, drier cheeses that you just sort of chew and swallow.
Yeah.
And the flavor lingers, but that creaminess doesn't. Yeah.
So this is called a flight and bite, right?
Flight and a bite. Yep.
Flight and a bite. And you can have a similar experience if you want to join the tasting bar with the wine and cheese tasting, where you get to try 6 wines with 6 bites of cheese. So another way to do it. And we did this one of our shows. We did a charcuterie board, a cheese and charcuterie board, where we paired all the various items on the charcuterie board with the various wines. And one of our club members the following weekend came in, he and his wife came in, and they bought the board and they ordered the wine, a couple flights, so that they could do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool experience.
I think that's what's most fun. That's why, we talk about suggested pairings. And on our menu, we always include a suggested pairing with each menu item. And with all of our boards, we just put flights because that's what's the most fun about a charcuterie board. So you have all these different
Learning
things
how it works
in front of you, and you have a few different wines. You can try each wine with each food and this and that and share it around. And it's so much fun.
So that's actually the best way if you want to learn about food and wine pairing. A cheese board or a cheese and charcuterie board that you buy at a restaurant or you make at home gives you a wide variety, 6 or 7 or 8 different types of cheeses and meats and chutneys and sauces, and then have a few bottles of wine and start going down the list. Try the wine with each item on the plate. Try the food with the different wines. You'll learn very quickly.
So even if you come for lunch, I've noticed on the menu that we often suggest our lunch entree items with a particular wine as well. So if you don't want to spend time paying attention, you want to sit around and talk and make sure that you're getting a good combination of foods, we've done some of the legwork for you. And I would say kudos to Marika and Travis who've come up with this pairing here. It's really pretty spot on, as good as can be, as any experience I've had with tasting and pairing. And it's pretty much true for the sandwiches and the salads and everything else that I've had down there with the suggested wines. They're all pretty spot on. So you don't want to pay attention. You just want to eat and drink and think you're getting the right thing. We got you covered.
Mm-hmm. We've done some important research.
We've done some important
research.
I've seen it down in the kitchen doing the research.
Yes.
Working hard.
Yes.
It reminds me, I think we need to schedule a staff meeting pretty soon to
Do some more
preview the fall menu.
more
And
preview. Yeah.
That's good. So we have a fall menu coming.
we do.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen some previews of it. We've actually run a few of the things that are going to be on it have been run as specials. And
I just had so nice the special pizza from this weekend. Well, I don't forget what it was called.
was it
It was
it might have just been
marinara.
the
It
pizza
was
of the week. I think that might have just been the pizza of the week.
No, it was,
there
it
were
was
2.
the special. This was on the specials menu. I didn't order it, but somebody I was sitting with for lunch had ordered it, and they shared a piece with me, and it was really good. I was really excited about it, and then Travis said he's going to put it on the fall menu, and I was even
Nice.
more excited. So,
Yes. He's making his own crust. The pizza's
know.
good. It's really nice. Everything about it's just really well done.
Yeah, so I know there's there might be 1 or 2 new pizzas coming up, and there's a new wrap that Stephanie just came up with, a different soup. We've got, I think, a new crostini. Yes, there's a new crostini
Ooh.
planned that I think just reading it
So it sounds like we need to
sounds
do a
good.
show on the new
We
menu.
will. I'm sure that'll be coming up in the next few
Absolutely,
weeks.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Where's Ken, by the way? Speaking of staying, is
Far
he
away.
sleeping somewhere?
He is
He's in
probably
Rwanda.
sleeping, actually.
He's definitely sleeping.
definitely
What are we
sleeping.
about 6
6
He's
hours.
6 hours.
He's
He's
6
6 hours
off,
ahead of us,
yeah.
he said, yeah.
So it's 20 after midnight there.
Yeah, he's probably.
So I don't know if most of you know, he's a geologist. In his former life, he was a full-time geologist. Well, now he consults as a geologist. So he was invited.
Because he's not doing enough here.
He's not busy enough.
Yeah.
So he needs more work.
Needs to do a little extra.
but he's looking at rocks in Rwanda, right?
Rocks in Rwanda, bringing
it-
water.
It's a drinking
water to
water.
the people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
They're gonna have the foundation of a project there, and it'd be good for the people who walk 5 kilometers a day with the 5-gallon jug of water. If they can
Not easy.
develop wells, and they can really improve the quality of life of a lot of people there. So, yeah, it's we're so spoiled here, and we just turn the spigot on, and we got water, and there, it's not like that.
5
So,
miles with a bucket on your head.
yeah, no, not cool. So so that's what he's up to, and it sounds like a good thing for people. So
Yeah. It is great that he's still maintains those connections and is still involved with that. And I know this trip he's been trying to do this trip for
2 months.
2 months
Yeah.
or
It keeps getting
more than I feel like
postponed.
more than I feel like it's
Yeah.
has he actually gone down there before?
No.
Yeah.
He's been to Africa before.
yeah, he was
Not on this
It wasn't
project.
Rwanda. It was
I feel like this has been
Uganda.
postponed
Yeah.
since for
September. No.
longer than that. Yeah, it's
June.
been a long
I think he first put it on the calendar in June.
Yeah.
Well, that's super.
Yeah, 2 years
Isn't
ago.
it-
Was it 2 years ago? He went to Uganda.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it's good stuff. And we've got 6,000 pounds of Dogo crab apples anxiously waiting for his return.
We get all that worked out.
No,
Still working on that?
Still working that out.
It
Yeah,
will
we had
get
a little
worked
bit of Dogo folly this year with apples, so we're figuring that one out.
but they're coming.
Oh,
Lots
we
of
have
them.
apples. Yeah, we have too many apples. If anybody out there needs some
Too
Dogos, we
many
might have
apples.
a deal.
Oh,
for
but
you.
that means make more of the cider. That's what I'm going to tell Ken.
Well,
Make-
we talked about that, but the problem is there's only so much room in the
tanks.
In the building.
battery for tanks.
That's
And
true.
The tanks are all full, and we filled up this.
We just did so much with all the whites, and all that Lakehouse White, and probably I assume some more Winnie White and Meredith Bay White. Because all that fruit came in a week or two ago.
8 ferments going last week or whatever it was with the peaches.
There's a
and
lot going on
everything
last
else.
week.
Yeah, it's been maxed out time. Noah's down there. He's got the things under control, I'm sure. So yeah, well, it's a really busy time of year. Is really what
It
I'm
is.
hoping.
They've got a lot going on.
This is
The busiest.
of our seasons. This is our real fruit season when the fresh fruit comes in. We have to make hay. That's it.
More wine.
Yeah, I actually prefer wine.
Yeah.
We haven't made hay wine, have we?
I bet somebody has.
Yeah. Hay grows around here.
It does grow around here. Yeah,
We could make hay.
it's coming soon. Hay wine.
Yes.
Hermit Woods.
Well, I mean, that's
Hermit Woods
it's-
is on hay wine.
so actually.
That's like barley, right?
That's like barley.
Well, I mean, so much
Cows love
We
about
make hay beer.
Hay beer.
Isn't that?
Yeah, we could just call it hay beer.
I think it could work. Well, the thing with our wine, people are so used to reading, fruit descriptions of of grape wine, right? It often says aromas of blackberry and cherry, and we actually make the wine out of those things. And
Yeah.
hay is a common aroma, isn't it, with some white wines?
Sure. Yeah.
So if
It
Smells
would
like
be in
hay.
the bouquet.
but it might work.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Listen,
But it's true. It's the
I
bouquet,
do
not the aroma.
I do not doubt that someday we may
We'll make
experiment
some-
with hay.
Or grass, or but you're right. If
Grass,
there's barley wine, right?
Barley wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we have it.
So, all right. Well, that brings
I
us
think
to
we're
the
winding
end
down,
of
yeah.
this episode, and I just want to say this is the first time that I'm going to say this in 2 years, just about that we are not going to be live next Monday. I'm very sorry to say.
Wow.
We have
better have
another
good
meeting
reasons.
that we have to go to. We absolutely have to go, and you want us to go to this meeting. I'm not going to say
They'll
more than
come up
that.
with. They'll get some.
You absolutely want us to go to this meeting, and we don't want to miss it. And you will learn soon enough why you want us to go to this meeting. But we are going to the meeting, and as a result, the meeting happens at 5:30 on Monday. So
So we've missed several meetings because the meetings are always at 5:30 on
they're gonna do
Mondays.
their research. They're going to find out what meeting happens on 5:30.
Right,
on
probably.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
But
more
then, and
steps.
so you and Ken are going to a meeting. Chuck, you're going to be in
I'll be in
Paris.
Paris. Yeah.
Yep.
Paris. And
I'm going to be next Monday. I will be in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Yes, I'm going to Sweden for a week with my mom, but I will.
You guys
on
will
Monday. I'm going
almost
to be in
as fun a
Copenhagen.
place as I'll be.
Almost.
Yes.
Maybe I'll go live from Copenhagen.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah,
so.
I like
Yeah,
from
you're going to be in the
Copenhagen,
little wee hours of the night.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is the
I'll
problem.
find. Maybe I'll
We're
go
gonna get up at
live.
1 a.m. to go live.
I'll do an afternoon. I'll figure out some time.
I was thinking we may do a pre-recorded. and put it out at 5:30 on Monday. We may do that.
We can do a best of.
We do best. There you
Sure.
go. Or we could replay one of our earlier issues.
right.
So yeah, we'll be here next Monday in some
do it
form or
something.
another. How's that? That's a bargain.
Yeah.
So otherwise, we will see you the following week, and Ken will be back. And
You'll be out and
following
about.
week. Oh, we have a surprise for you the following week. We'll tell you all about that, but we will not be here. We will be somewhere else, but we'll
Out
be
and
together,
about.
Ken and I and Chuck. And
I don't think I'm not invited. This is a you guys trip.
You're invited.
Not-
You're going to just be tuning in.
Okay.
I tune in when I go off. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear
Yeah,
you.
we'll try that. Yeah.
And warning, the video quality may not be very good
We're
No.
going to do the best we can.
We'll do the
From a
best we
variety of factors.
for a variety of factors. Yes.
So 2 weeks. You'll see us next week. And I think we'll do a rerun. That's a really great idea. Thanks for bringing that up. And then in 2 weeks, Ken and I and Chuck are going to be in someplace wild in the universe that we'll be tuning in from. So thank you everybody for joining us for another Monday. And I hope you all have a great week. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. But hopefully you'll enjoy our blast from the past next Monday. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
Out of alcohol.
Out of alcohol, nothing else.
What? There's nothing here.